Whenever I talk to people about real estate, the most important thing that I stress is if you have an interest in it, the only way to learn how to do it is to actually do it and get involved. Hey guys, it's John with No DIY Couple. I'm an experienced real estate investor. I've bought over $5 million worth of real estate in the past 5 years. And today I want to talk to you about house hacking. So my wife and I started our real estate journey by house hacking, and I'd like to discuss what that means because there's a lot of different conceptions about what house hacking is and how you can use house hacking to help you on your real estate journey. So house hacking is essentially owning a house that you live in and you rent out a portion of as well. So it could be a multifamily home, like a house with 2 or 3 units. You live in one unit, you rent out the other 2 units. It could be a single family home where you live in part of the home and rent out a basement or the rest of it. You could rent maybe an accessory structure or a different dwelling structure. But the key is that you're both living in the house as your own primary residence, and you're also renting out a portion of it to a tenant or somebody else that helps you make income. We did this with a multifamily home in New Jersey. We bought a 2-family home and lived in one of the units on the first floor, rented out the second unit, and then a few months later we actually moved to the basement, which was kind of its own unit. I have a video on living in a basement and going through that real estate journey, and then we rented out the first and the second floor. There are a couple of important reasons why house hacking is such a great idea and why we used it as a way to get started in the real estate world. The first is that you're reducing your living expenses. So unless you live with your parents or you own your house outright, you're paying something every month to live somewhere. That's usually rent or a mortgage or whatever. When you're house hacking, you're living in the house, so you still have the expenses that you might otherwise have living in a house, but you have another person or several people to help you pay the mortgage to the house. So just as a way of example, before we bought our first house, my wife and I were living in Manhattan. We were paying over $2,000 a month to live in a small 2-bedroom apartment. When we moved to New Jersey, we were actually making about $200 or $300 a month because we were renting out the other units in our house for such an amount that it actually caused us not only to pay our monthly carrying costs in mortgage and taxes and insurance, but also to make money on top of that. So it was a great financial decision for us because in the span of about, I want to say 3 or 4 months, we went from paying $2,000 a month to making $200 or $300 a month and also having a place to live. Albeit it wasn't in Manhattan, it was in New Jersey, but that difference in amount of money that we were able to put away really caused major shifts in our lives and caused us to really accelerate our real estate career. The second and maybe the most important reason that house hacking is so great is financing. So in the United States, whenever you buy a house, more or less, you're going to be getting a mortgage on it. You're not going to be paying, cash outright for the home. And the mortgage options that you can get as a primary resident are much better than what you can get as a pure investor. So for example, you can take advantage of something called an FHA mortgage, which is a mortgage that's insured by the federal government that you can get from essentially any bank that gives mortgages. And with an FHA mortgage, you can put as little as 3.5% of the purchase price down. So if you're buying a home for say $100,000, you can put down $3,500 of the purchase price as your down payment. If you're not occupying the home as your primary residence, you have to put normally 20 or maybe even 25% or maybe even more down as a down payment for the house. And that can be a big barrier to most people that are looking to get involved in real estate because if you're renting or if you're just starting out, it's very unlikely that you're going to have in your back pocket 20 or 25% of the purchase price of a home able to put down as a down payment. So we took advantage of this exact thing when we bought our first home in New Jersey. We were just starting out, we didn't have a lot of money saved up, but we got an FHA loan and we used the fact that we could put 3.5% down to buy a 2-family home in New Jersey. As I said, lived in one unit, rented out the other unit, and for very little money out of our pocket, really I think the cost of maybe like a super big security deposit in an apartment, we're able to buy a home, and then the carrying costs of that home were offset by the fact that we had tenants, by the fact that we were house hacking in the home. The third extremely important reason that house hacking is so great is because it allows you to get experience being a landlord. So before we had moved into our house in New Jersey, I had no experience with real estate personally and no experience with being a landlord at all. I had never thought about renting out places in a home, managing tenants, dealing with any of the home maintenance issues that come up when you are a landlord. And when you're living in a house that you're renting out to people, those issues that you have to deal with as a landlord are going to be very present to you, because you have tenants that are going to be, living essentially next to you or on top of you that are making you very aware of those issues. So when we moved into our home, we had to deal with things like plumbing stuff, things ranging from the toilet is clogged to leaks in the house. That was one of the first things we had to fix, was that a lot of the pipes had leaks in them for various reasons. Electrical issues, so outlets that don't work, breakers that get tripped, all sorts of things that might come up just in the normal course of living. We ended up renovating one of our kitchens, which I essentially spearheaded myself, which I had no idea how to do, and just watched YouTube to do it. But because these things were in our own home and we were actually living there at the time when I was dealing with them, they became a lot more urgent and a lot more interesting for me to figure out and for me to take care of. And I couldn't really ever run away from being a landlord because I lived there all the time. So when I walked in the front door of the house or whatever, I saw all the issues that were around me. So if you're thinking about a career in real estate investing, or even just dabbling in it, the experience of being a landlord can really help you to say, hey, I want to be an active investor. I want to actually manage my own properties and learn how to be a landlord and take care of stuff. Or look, I like real estate investing, but I have no interest in being a hands-on investor. I want to hire a manager or a management company to do that for me. Those are all super valuable things for you to learn. And the only way to get experience is by actually being a landlord. Whenever I talk to people about real estate, the most important thing that I stress is if you have an interest in it, the only way to learn how to do it is to actually do it and get involved. And the beautiful thing about house hacking is that if you're interested and able to live in the place that you're thinking about investing, it can be an amazing opportunity to get involved with very little % money down, to get firsthand experience being a landlord, and also to reduce your general living costs, which are going to help you save up money for your future properties. So I have a bunch more videos on how we got started in real estate and real estate investing, but I wanted to do this quick video to talk about house hacking. If you have any questions or any thoughts about house hacking, any experiences that you've had with it, good or bad, I'd love to hear them in the comments. And until next time, be well and always make things better. Thanks.